Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with fabulous concert programs, number 114. And this is number 7 in our cycle of Glazunov symphonies and other cool things. Well, we're up to symphony number 6. And symphony number 6 is really a fascinating work. First of all, it's in a minor key. It's in C minor. Glazunov's handling of minor keys is not like Beethoven's C minor. He's not a Sturm und Drang, storm and stress sort of guy. And this is not a tragedy to triumph symphony, not a bit. His handling of minor keys is a lot closer to what you find in a lot of works of the classical era, which is the minor key. It gives you a flavor in the first movement, and then everything's sort of like, the mists clear, the fog lifts, and all those other metaphors, and things are fairly cheerful from then on. The minor key is a spice. It adds to the passion, to the harmonic interest, but he's not out to write the musical depiction of a tragedy. Emotionally speaking, Glazunov symphonies are, quite simply, rather on the cool side. It doesn't mean they're not passionate. It doesn't mean they don't have beautiful gushing melodies and surging climaxes and all the things we love in romantic music. They have all of that. But they're not going to make you rend your garment and want to jump off a bridge. That's just not where he was at. And that's perfectly fine, because what they do beautifully, as I've said so many times. And these are full of good tunes and fantastic orchestration. And they're not too long. They're just marvelously shaped and paced and gorgeous. And so this is an interesting program, because here we have Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven, and then Glazunov, divided by intermission between Haydn and Mozart. And I wanted to do it because, first of all, I wanted to show you something about the way Glazunov structures his symphonies, which I can do very well with these pieces. The key here is that the Haydn and the Mozart both have movements in variation form. So does the Glazunov. The Beethoven we'll get to in a moment. So we start with Haydn's 94th Symphony, the Surprise, his most popular single symphony, probably, and for good reason. It makes a wonderful concert opener. Actually, it would make a great concert closer. But, we put classical symphonies up front so that the heavy-duty romantic ones can come last, because they're bigger and longer and louder. And that's great as far as I'm concerned. For this program, it works wonderfully well. Now, of course, the variation movement is the surprise movement. Dun 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 dun. There you go. Then you have a quick minuet, which is almost a scherzo. It's really zippy, and an absolutely dazzling finale with another surprise of its own in terms of a fortissimo timpani eruption, which is quite unexpected. But Haydn is always unexpected. That's what's so wonderful about Haydn, of course. So that's a great concert opener. After that, we go to Mozart, his 24th Piano Concerto, which is in C minor, the same key as Glazunov's 6th Symphony. And this is also a music of great elegance and finish. The opening movement is kind of despairing, but after that, it's not uniformly tragic or depressing, although the finale stays in the minor key, which is quite shocking to some people. I don't think it's a tragic minor. I think it's a pathetic minor. But in any case, the finale is a theme and variations, in this case for piano and orchestra. Theme and variations forms work wonderfully in concertos because you can do a variation simply by transferring the tune from the soloist to the orchestra and back and forth, and they can alternate in various, the repeats of variations and things. It's a wonderful concept. So that is also a theme and variations, and it's also arguably Mozart's greatest piano concerto. So we can get a hotshot soloist who'll suck people into the concert hall to watch this, and they can nod sagely and say it's fabulous and wonderful, even though most of them will probably have no idea what they've just heard. I'm being cynical. I shouldn't do that, should I? But, the fact of the matter is, even bad performances of great works sound marvelous live. I've always said that. One of the reasons I don't like reviewing live performances is because I always have such a good time. Even when the performance sucks, I have a good time. And if everyone else has a good time, who am I to tell them they shouldn't have had a good time? I just feel guilty about it. Anyway, So there you go, Mozart's 24th Piano Concerto in the same key as Glazunov Symphony. Then we have intermission after this lovely, wonderful excursion through the classical era. Then after intermission, we come back with Beethoven. And Beethoven, we're doing the Grosse Fuge. Ooh, baby. For the string orchestra arrangement, of course. The Grosse Fuge was originally the finale of a string quartet, which Beethoven detached because it was considered so impossible. It's like 12 to 15 minutes long. It's possibly the ugliest piece of music anyone ever wrote. I mean that in the best possible way. It's supposed to be. It's a battle between the fugue theme things, and it's deliberately supposed to sound strained and scratchy and harsh and very, very modern. And it really does sound extraordinarily modern, but it's a wonderful work. It's an absolutely wonderful work, exciting, and it ends serenely and beautifully, actually, which is kind of nice. And the reason I put that there was, first of all, I want Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven before we get to Glazunov, because it's such a lovely first Viennese school, trio. But then, because first of all, after the Grosse Fuge, anything is going to sound gorgeous. That goes without saying. And the other point is that, Glazunov doesn't pale in comparison to these people. I mean, you might think I'm crazy for saying that, but it's a fact that the Russian school and Russian composers are always looked down on somewhat because their music does not operate according to the rules of German nationalist music analysis, which is what our basic musicology is. And as a result of that, Tchaikovsky, Glazunov, Rimsky-Korsakov, all these people, they get shat upon by the musical tastemakers. And so you might think that to put through the great Viennese classics next to Glazunov would be risking a lot. It would make Glazunov sound like a diminished little pygmy next to them. But that's not what happens at all. In fact, if you listen to this program straight through, with the intermission, of course, it's a wonderful program. It works surprisingly well because Glazunov's Sixth Symphony, in addition to being in C minor, like the Mozart Concerto, has a second movement, which is also a wonderful theme and variations, a beautiful, colorful theme and variations on a noble chorale-like theme, prayerful theme, a hymn. And the variations carry just a huge, they go through a huge number of transformations from a scherzo type thing to, all kinds of other wonderful things with woodwind section versus strings and, fantastical scoring. And then finally, a beautifully noble, passionate climax. I mean, really full of power and dignity and class and taste and all the things that people say Russian music usually doesn't have. This piece has. It has it in abundance. And then, like the Haydn, there's a scherzo, there's a dance movement. Haydn has a minuet, but it's a quick minuet, so it's like a scherzo, as I think I mentioned. And then you have a triumphant, powerful, but not too fast finale. Again, dignified. The thing about the Sixth Symphony that really strikes me is that word, dignity. It's music of really serious intent, because it's in C minor possibly, but also music of great elegance and taste and class. And it somehow, I don't think it's going to sound worse when you put it next to the great Viennese classics, which means either that Glazunov is better than we thought he was, or that the great Viennese classics are terribly overrated. I don't really care which one it is because the program works. And that's the point, isn't it? So give Glazunov 6 a shot. Give this program a shot. Boy, is this one you'll never hear live. But it works. It really, really works. And the contrast between the Grosse Fuge and the Glazunov really sets off both works very, very well. It says something about Beethoven, what a modernist he was, and about Glazunov, which is just how on the one hand, conservative, yes, but on the other hand, worthy of being placed and mentioned in the same company, which is the important thing. So keep on listening, friends, and thanks so much for joining me. Take care.